Hey guys, I'm Wempty, and welcome back to another video. Today, I'm going to be starting a new series called 100 Days in Hardcore Minecraft, and basically what separates hardcore from normal Minecraft is once you die, you can't respawn and the world deletes itself. But anyways, let's go ahead and get into it. I started the world like no other by chopping down a tree, and after making my first advancement, I got iron and then went to sleep to end day 1. Waking up, I then exited the cave and then found another one to get some more iron so I could then not only get my first set of iron armor but get my first iron pickaxe. Deeper in the cave I found both types of golden apples before eventually getting out and going to sleep to end day 2. Day 3 started off a little slower because all I did was leave, find a new cave where I then found more diamonds, and as I got out I went and found a sunken ship before finding a village after looting and going to bed to end day 3. I started the day by leaving, and I found myself in a cave where I would eventually find diamonds, but I would end up having to go to sleep in the cave because of how late it ran to end the day. Today was a good but short day because I did find not one, but 2 different veins of diamonds that would lead me to leaving the cave rather early and going to sleep to end the day. However, on day 6, I didn't do much as I really just explored and maybe chopped down a couple spruce trees and tried terraforming a bit because was where I wanted to live, and then I just went to sleep to end the day. I started today by actually terraforming some more by expanding my land and starting a vision for my house, but it was honestly quickly just short-ended because I would end up taking it down like not even 5 minutes later. And then after I took it down, I just went up the village hill, and then I actually found a place where I wanted to build. And so as I started actually building, a creeper came up to me and I started getting some flashbacks. But it's safe to say that we had a better run in with the creeper this time around, and we just built some more and ended the day by going to bed watching the sunset. I started the day by putting some time into my floor before spending, I kid you not, like 6 minutes trying to get this goat to ram into me so I could get its horn. Because honestly, I just think they're pretty cool. And when the time finally came, I just didn't move out the way. And then so after that, I got arrogant and just started chopping wood. And I finished up my floor, did the walls a little bit, and then went to sleep to end the day. Day 9 started with me spending way too long on a balcony that quite literally just ended up not working out. After that waste of time, I really just added a cauldron because I thought it'd look cool for a sink. And then after that, I went and destroyed this dude's house. Yeah, and I ended up putting it in my roof, which turns out didn't even work out. After much failure, we just went to sleep. I started the day by just doing some wall work, which sparked an idea to go look for a cave. And after almost dying to a zombie on fire, I went into a cave that had basically nothing, but by the time I'd gotten out, it was already time to go to sleep. After I made my way around the mountain and getting caught in powdered snow, I went inside the cave where I got iron and more iron before making my way out of the cave and finding myself into another. And after going inside for a bit, I found a deep dark biome inside of the cave where I found 2 veins of diamonds, and after digging my way out of the cave, I went to sleep inside of it. After finding my way out of the cave, I made it back home where I found an intruder inside of my house with some bad ideas, leading me to break my sink. And after making a full set of diamond gear with the new diamonds I got from the day before, I hope the guy found his way back home. And after gathering some materials, I finished the walls in my house, prompting me to end the day. I started the day by lighting my place with lanterns, and after crafting an anvil, I finished my windows. I started trying to make a 3rd floor that I took down very fast, and after taking way too long to try to figure out how to make a bow, I went to sleep to end day 13. I started the day by going on the mountain for emeralds, and after getting stuck in powder snow, can I just say, powder snow is one of the worst things that they added to the game. But anyways, after I went down the mountain and smelted iron inside of my house, I left to go explore, and after finding a pillager outpost near my base, I went to sleep to end the day. After I woke up, I cleared the pillagers and finally got my goat horn, and after I found a village nearby, I ended up going home instead of going to the village, where I mined obsidian until the day ended and I went to sleep to end day 15. I mined the rest of the obsidian I needed and went home just in time to finish my roof and also start a sugarcane farm, and then I went to sleep. On day 17, I cleared out a snowy hill next to my base where I made and lit a nether portal. But after poking my head in for a while, I went right back out to expand my sugarcane farm. And after making an enchantment table and organizing my inventory with all the snow I mined, I went to sleep. After organizing my inventory some more, I put all my belongings inside of a chest, and after that I gathered more materials so I could build the frame of my new base. After doing some much needed fixing on the frame, I started the pillars of my base, and after finishing that up, I ended up working on the bottom walls, and after that I went to sleep to end the day. With the walls getting some structure, I cleared out the floor and gathered materials for it. Once I got a decent amount, I used it, but as you know, I ended up running out, and so I gathered some wood to help build my walls. And after gathering the wood, it helped me finish my walls a lot early, which prompted me to help finish the incomplete floor. And after I did that, it's still incomplete, but I just went to sleep. Day 21 really consisted of gathering the materials and then using the materials to finish my floor, but also finishing my wall and adding some exterior to my base by adding stairs. After placing my enchantment table, I tried to look at the enchantments, which, to everyone's surprise, yeah, they were obviously pretty bad. I headed to the Nether and also traded with a piglin for some time before also securing my Nether portal and sending the piglin off to a better place. But once I had gotten back to my base, it was actually snowing and I had to start building a roof fast. After quite a while, I got most of it done and gathered more materials before finishing it off and going to sleep to end day 21. Day 22 started as a realization of how incredibly sad my sugarcane farm was and prompted me to go get some more. While exploring though, I found a cave, which was pretty deep, and after finding diamonds, I ended up going back up and heading back home, where I then found a creeper and his friend and they blew up my base. But after fixing up my house, I went to sleep to end day 22. Day 23 started with fixing my house, and after that I started gathering dirt so I could then fix my entrance. And after that I also started placing more bookshelves around my enchantment table before starting a fence that would later help me get cows. And after trapping one inside of my base, I then went to sleep to end day 23. After leading 3 cows to the fences, I would also then close it off before starting to breed them, and after starting to farm outside of my base, I would then use bone meal to help them grow quicker, but after that, it was already time for bed. For day 25, I lit my base up before breeding my cows, and after leaving my house to go on a quick little adventure, I would end up stopping short and cooking food before ending the day shortly by going to sleep. After picking up my smoker, I set off and found a village before I got the smart idea of then crafting a hoe so I could then collect the hay bales. And after finding a neighboring village, I also got their hay bales before leaving that village and going to sleep in the middle of nowhere. After quickly going off in a boat, I found myself in the cave back from day 22, and leading me to fighting very scary mobs that really almost killed me, I won't lie. But after getting the diamonds, which was honestly a pretty big vein, I found myself into another cave where I then had to wipe out those mobs. But after I found a spider spawner, not only was it raining when I got back home, but it was also time to head for bed. On day 28, I was able to add not just one, but two bookshelves to the table, and after spending quite a while trading with various different villagers, it was honestly, it took me a while, but by the time I was finished, it was already time for bed. Day 29 started with collecting more hay bales, which also led me to trading with more different villagers. But after making one of the dumbest trades of my life, one more bookshelf was added to the enchantment table, and by that time it was already time for bed. Day 30 was started by breeding the cows and collecting more materials, but when I went to look at enchantments, I was honestly very disappointed to say the very least, but by then it was already time for bed. The next day, I had left my house and traversed to the other mountain, but after collecting some bits of iron in the cave, I ended up making it back home. And after that, I had to collect some materials, but by then, it was already time for bed, leading me to go to sleep. Day 32 made me realize that I desperately needed iron, which had led me to making compost and going to the lava pool so I could get some lava. And after lots of terraforming, and I mean lots, it actually ran very late, which after I was done, it led me to go to sleep to end day 32. Once I'd woken up, I started preparing the farm for building, and after clearing out some snow and actually clearing out some dirt, I used it to help the building grounds for the farm before going back inside, and by that time, it was already time to go to bed. This is post-editing Wempty, and day 33, 30, and 34 both got corrupted, so I'm sorry, we're starting on 36. Anyways, on day 36, I actually lured and trapped a villager into the iron farm, and finally, it was about to start. I started to dig down so I could set up the kill chamber for the golem when this villager actually fell down, and after pushing him in the right direction and properly setting up the collection system, I went to go and finish the farm with the temporary blocks, but after falling down, once I had gotten back up, it was already time to go to sleep. At the start of the day, two villagers fell into lava before I could save them, and after saving that first villager, I went into the Nether where I found quite literally all of the villagers, and after sending all of them through, I led and trapped one of them inside of the iron farm, and after trying to lead another one into there, he escaped actually. And then I tried leading another one after that, and he just walked straight out. And after all that, I was getting tired, so I had to go to sleep. Alright, post editing again. Yeah, I kid you not, another day. Day 38 actually got corrupted. And yeah. For day 39, no longer having day 38, I went outside and trapped the same villager that escaped from last night. And after trapping him, I would then begin to trap another one just in case the first one that I just trapped escaped. And after breaking the temporary blocks, I waited quite literally all night for a zombie to come. I guess you could say a zombie that doesn't exist. After trying to figure out why my villager wasn't sleeping, a quick Google search helped me figure out that it was the bed. And after patching up the hole, I tried making my way around and I actually fell down. And after breaking the remnants of this house, it was already day 40. I thought to myself, maybe the iron golem was the reason I didn't find a zombie and went into a cave to find one. But moments later, I would leave and went to farm my sugarcane. And after also farming my crops, I bred my cows, but I also laid waste to some more. But due to their sacrifice, I was able to upgrade my enchantment table. And with that, I checked the enchantments, and honestly, I was pretty content with it. Day 41, I had noticed I caught a zombie, but I quite literally could not pinpoint when, so it must have stumbled in while I was probably sleeping, I'd assume. But anyways, the lava at my farm was gone in obsidian, and so after fetching some more, I then replaced it inside of the farm. And wanting a soul sand elevator, I actually went out to the ocean to go farm some kelp. But by the time I'd gotten back, it was already time for bed. When I woke up, my water was frozen, and after making all of the water source blocks, the iron farm was actually working. But after breaking the kelp and the soul sand, I also realized that my soul sand elevator wasn't working properly. Until I fixed it, of course. After getting a book to the enchantment table, I popped my head in the nether and worked on a way to go down the iron farm before going home and going to sleep. Day 43 was rather boring because after going down to the iron farm, I dug out a little space so I could then AFK inside of the iron farm. And after being there for quite literally a while, I finally just went to sleep. Day 44 was also the same. I AFK'd, I guess you could say, the entire video. And yeah, because the only thing I really did was go to sleep right here. Day 45, after more AFK, I eventually made my way up and around my house. And after making my way around quite literally the entire base, I actually turned all of my iron into blocks finally. And after that, I terraformed the snow and farmed my sugarcane. I also replanted my crops and bred my sheep. Not my sheep, my cows. What am I saying? And placed another bookshelf at the table, and by that time, it was already time for bed. I woke up, I killed some cows that were surrounded the base and bred my cows in the farm. And after making a big mistake costing me 1 diamond and making a jukebox instead of a note box, I dug out the space for the farm and went up to finish the materials. And this is a time lapse, obviously, but yeah, I didn't get that much XP from it. So we just went to sleep after doing that. After saving my iron farm from a creeper, I went fishing and hoping to get treasure, but I literally got none. And after going to the Nether, I saw a villager, and after convincing him to go back in, I trapped him and realized I needed a villager trading hall, which is why I dug out that space. And after making a space committed for that villager, I got him stuck in there. Day 48, however, I kid you not, was so boring because after making him a librarian, he he would not give me a mending trade, you know? But I did end up getting a lunch trade, which almost got me, but after that, I just went to sleep. If I remember correctly, this does take a while for me to get mending, so I'm just gonna say skip to this timestamp on the screen if you want to skip all the trade cycling because it does get very boring. And if you've made it this far, guys, and you genuinely enjoy watching my videos, then you guys should probably subscribe because there is a percentage. Yeah, no, I'm just playing. But, you know, if you feel like it and you like my videos, subscribe. And although here I do collect sugarcane, it is not the end of the time lapse. Okay, I really wanted mending, guys. Okay, so. And even if you are still here now, I want you guys to go down in the comments below and comment whether you want me to do another commentary 100-day video like this or if I should just start doing episodes. Because honestly, this is very draining, I won't lie. But day 51 here, I decided to start mining into the wall in hopes I would find my villager trading hall. But after breaking my pickaxe, I did some more cycling. But then I finally got it! But it was also 32 emeralds, so that was actually a no-go. Sorry about that. After such a long time trading, yeah, no, it was just time to go to sleep. But after 5 minutes of trading, we finally got it, and I bought an emerald to lock in the trade. And it was from here that I also started to try to expand my farm, going into the iron farm that you guys know barely works half the time. And yeah, that's just stupid. I don't know what I was trying to do there. But we now had a maxed out enchantment table. And after testing out some enchantments with my boots and my pickaxe, yeah, I would just look at the mending villager. But now that I was finally out of XP, it was a good use of the fishing farm. It is what I really want to say, but let's be honest, guys. It really sucks. I'm not going to lie. But by then, it was already day 53. And so after heading back up, after so long being down there, I expanded my sugarcane farm. And I also looked at enchantments for my armor before going to sleep. After trying to fix my dumb iron farm, I really just mined some coal before looking at the mending villager and trying to reminisce on what it would be like. And after trying to expand my pathway, I looked at enchantments and tried to figure out what was wrong with my iron farm. Yeah, I couldn't find much, but it wasn't until then we went to sleep. Woke up and went straight to the Nether and started to make a mine because I really needed Netherite because honestly, I was just trying to prepare. But after going back because my pickaxe broke, I went immediately back after getting a new one. But after finding ancient debris, I had to go back once again for my diamond pickaxe and to figure out what was wrong with my farm. But once I made it back to the Nether, I got my ancient debris and I actually found some more too before going back up and going to sleep. I woke up on day 56 and quite literally sorted 12 stacks of netherite before getting one of the worst enchantments, but yeah, it didn't take me long because after that, I literally got rid of it right away. And after making sure my iron farm worked, I went to the nether because I needed ancient debris. And after finding some, which I only found two by the way, but after I found that, I went back up and made some food before I went to sleep. Day 57, I waited for ancient debris to smelt and thought about getting efficiency 5 on my pickaxe, but I ended up not taking away with it. And after mining some coal, I would end the day very early by going to sleep. I just want to say I hope you guys really enjoyed this video because I want to continue making these, and especially in the hardcore world. But anyways, on day 58, I went to go find a village and found some sugarcane along the way. Once I kidnapped the villagers, but I honestly didn't make it very far because I had to clear out a space to go to sleep. Started by leading the villagers literally across rivers and mountains before I eventually found my way back to the ocean. And after finding my way back home, I made my way up the mountain with them and trapped them inside of my base. And after trapping them inside of the villager hall, only one of them would actually make it into the trading slots before it got late, leading me to go to sleep. Day 60, I smelted smooth stone so I could then make blast furnaces to give my new villagers better occupations. And after spending way too long trying to get an iron first trade, I realized you couldn't, and so I had to settle for coal. And after tunneling towards the iron farm, I started trading lots of iron with the villagers, which I was finally able to do now, before going to sleep ending day 60. After finally acquiring mending, I added it to my pickaxe and hit a piglin on not on accident, but he almost killed me. But today we finally connected the iron farm to the villager trading hall, and after farming my crops, I bred my cows. And after that, I got 4 more mending books before going to sleep, ending day 61 on a high note. Day 62, I went in the Nether and went mining for ancient debris, and after finding some, I would eventually try mining into the wall and almost died of this lava. Well, not almost died, because before it had the chance to, I ate the golden apple. And after that experience, I was scared and went back home to go to sleep, ending day 62. After waking up, I saw my villager trading hall was actually still small, and after going on an adventure and finding a lava pool and taking lava for trading, I would eventually get more villagers, but once again, sleeping in the middle of nowhere because it was getting late. Once I woke up, I made it back home and inside, where I found 2 zombies harassing my villager, and after getting one of the villagers into their slot, I got the other before going to sleep to end day 64. After killing a cow and cycling trades with my toolsmith, I accidentally let him out. Now that I got him back in, I enchanted my diamond boots, and now I finally had a mod that could cycle trades faster. And it honestly made my life easier. But after cycling with the toolsmith and the librarian, it was finally time for bed, ending a long day. On day 66, I spent the morning cycling trades, and after that, I ended up enchanting my sword and getting sharpness 4. And after some more trade cycling, I would go outside of my iron farm, but a creeper would happen to blow it up. After fixing it, I would cycle more trades, and it wasn't worth it in the end because I didn't get anything good. Trade cycling, I got protection 4 for pretty cheap, and after locking in the trade, I traded for iron and got leather before realizing I can also buy diamond armor. And after looking at some enchantments some more, I bred my cows before heading to bed to end day 67. Woke up to find the fact that the lava turned to obsidian, and after trading for books, I maxed out my chestplate, which I immediately put on. And after doing some trades, I would eventually add more storage into my house and go to sleep. I started the day by sorting my iron farm and sorting my books. After that, I would end up upgrading my boots and upgrading my helmet as well. And it didn't take me long to put both of them on. And after finding ancient debris and going back to the overworld to smelt it, I went to sleep. The morning of day 70, I did some trades and fed my cows. From there, I farmed sugarcane and mined some coal inside of a lake before going to sleep in a random villager's house. Day 71, I did some trading before leaving the house in hopes of looking for a trial chamber using math, and I'm not a genius, I searched it up, but after finding one, I cleared out skeletons as well as breezes. Once I got a key, I opened up a case and got nothing good besides that notch apple. Yeah, very disappointing. But after sorting my inventory and opening another case, I would not get a mace once again. After realizing I couldn't sleep, it was now day 72. I opened this box but didn't get much, and I just want to thank all of you and say thank you for watching this video. I know it's very long and I know you probably don't want to watch it, but if you're still here, you should subscribe and you'll see me expand my hardcore world. After clearing all the mobs in the chamber, I would then go to sleep and we would be on day 73. My inventory was a mess, so I had to sort it a little, and after opening a crate, I was just walking around, and after pressing F3, I realized it was day 74. And so after clearing a mob of skeletons and finding a spider spawner next to it, I cleared a crowd of mobs before making my way up and having to stop halfway to go to sleep. I didn't even notice during the trial chambers and until editing just now that I did not have any pants. But once I made it back home, I eventually just sorted my inventory with the stuff I got and farmed some sugarcane before heading to bed. I did some unnecessary trades and almost maxed out my pants. And after that, I did some more unnecessary trades, sadly, before farming my crops and getting leather for my cows to help me get books. And after that, I traded iron before going to sleep, ending day 76. After waking up, I went down and traded iron with my villagers. I also bred my cows and went to the Nether to find a fortress. And by the way, I'm not a smart dude. I searched up videos to help use math and the pie chart to find it. Yeah, no, I cannot do this on a regular basis. But once I ended up finding it, I farmed nether wart and got my first blaze rod. But later I would make my very big mistake and I hit a zombie piglin and I had 2 blazes and a wither skeleton on me, prompting me to jump down into the lava to escape. After trying to find my way back without being spotted by piglins, I would eventually find myself back at the portal and back home to go to sleep ending day 78. After doing some trading, I would eventually make netherite ingots, and I just put them with the rest because I was trying to stockpile. And after upgrading my sword, almost getting it maxed out, not really though, I would watch the sunset and just honestly take in and appreciate my world. Day 80, I woke up and went to the nether because I had so much, not so much, but I had netherite, but no smithing template to use it on. And so after digging in a random direction, I found nothing, but I went into another way, and you guys can figure out how I found it. Yeah, I watched the video, but I found a bastion, and after not finding any upgrade templates, it had turned to day 81 where I then had to go into the other room. After using so many wind charges to try to take that guy down, I decided to make a leap of faith and box myself in. After breaking the magma spawner, I would eventually find my smithing template, and after collecting all of the gold and taking out magma cubes, I would eventually make my way out of the bastion and back home, where I would go to sleep ending day 81. Day 82 was short because all I did was farm my sugarcane and store my emeralds away before trading for iron and going to sleep early. Day 83, I realized I needed more diamonds so I could duplicate my smithing template, and after digging out a spot, I then found diamonds under bedrock. But I soon dug out a spot for a TNT duper, but I had to go back up and store all the deep slate and cobblestone inside of a chest before going to sleep. However, trying to create a TNT duper for diamonds would actually be no small feat because even though I had some slime bolts from the trial chamber, I really did not have a lot. My journey led me to the nether because I also needed to get ancient debris. And after finding ancient debris, I really just needed 3, and so after I found that amount, I would end up leaving and getting the other thing I needed, which were these lights that I don't know the name of. Before going back home, and when I got back, it was day 85. After gathering all the stuff I needed, I would then go to the Pale Oak Forest, where I found out that the grass that was displayed for the TNT duper was actually found in coral reefs. Yeah, a big mistake by me. But I would then go to sleep. Day 86, I went on an adventure to find a coral reef, but the only thing I would end up finding was a treasure map that led me to more diamonds and emeralds. But after that, I would find a pillager outpost from the earlier days and get rid of them before going to sleep. Day 87, we added some decent looking shaders before farming my sugarcane farm and doing some more trades. Those trades were mostly with the Librarian and trading some iron, but it actually happened for a while because it ended up leading us to the end of the day. Day 88 started off strong by giving myself a netherite chestplate, and honestly, I'll get to that later, but I really love this world. But the shaders were actually starting to annoy me because eventually, after docking my boat, I would take them off. Eventually, a while later, I would find myself in a big cave where I would then only mine coal and emeralds. Before going home, of course, and after I got home, I ended the skeleton, and when I went to smelt my iron, I guess the shaders did something to it, causing me to reload my game in, and boom, it was actually fixed. After doing some trading on day 89 and enchantments, I would eventually upgrade my helmet, which would actually be so much better for what I was about to come up against. I remembered that if I wanted to beat the game in under 100 days, I would have to get blaze rods from the Nether. And after I made my way to a spawner, I had to make sure my game was right, because literally none of them were spawning. I spoke too soon though, and after I cleared some of them out, I went to try to kill an enderman with a boat, only to realize you can't craft boats with the netherwood. And after clearing out some more endermen, I would eventually navigate myself around the forest because I really needed a boat, to be honest. After making my way to the nether portal and back home, I would go to sleep, ending day 90, a big accomplishment. After clearing out so many zombies, I do not know where they came from. I eventually sorted my inventory and did some trades before breeding my cows and going back up to my house, ending the day. After seeing what it would take to upgrade my boots, and this will be important later, trust me, I would then go to the nether fortress to farm blazes. And after almost dying to these two wither skeletons for trying to farm endermen and getting caught in this lava, I would try to make my way down, and I took a lot of fall damage and I didn't realize why until I actually made it back and saw that I never put my boots back on. When I stepped outside, however, it was actually day 93 and I threw my first ender eye, leading to an adventure. Not knowing if I'd ever come back, I upgraded my boots and set off. I would eventually search up how to actually calculate because honestly that's a big feature for me. I should learn how. But after throwing my final eye, I would eventually start digging down, and I know this is gonna look scripted, but I found the portal first, and after mining obsidian and finding the library, I would ender chest a lot of it before going inside of the nether to find the cords. I mustered up the courage to go in, and once I did, I took down the pillars one by one before eventually reaching my final one and waiting for the dragon to perch. After checking F3, I saw that it was day 94, and after critting out the dragon, I would hit him with 2 bed bombs in a row. 1, 2, and then boom, he was done. Yeah, I got a little excited, but that's because it's my first time beating him in Java. But once I got the ender egg, I would eventually set off to the end cities. After bridging my way over to a neighboring island, I found 2 entities in the distance, and after ending some shulkers and looting the entities, I would eventually climb up. But after making my way down, I collected some chorus fruit, and it had actually became day 95, and after making my way to the other island, I got some shulkers before using an ender pearl to go to the end ship. After barely making it, I got an elytra finally, and after looting all the stuff in my ender chest, I got a shulker before heading back off to the portal. After landing directly into the portal, I eventually made it back to the actual portal, taking me back home. After waking up in a villager house, I went back to my base to actually go to sleep, ending day 95. But after doing some enchantments, after getting a lot of levels, I would eventually do a lot of enchanting and disenchanting, and I don't want to bore you guys, so I'm just gonna try to skip over it with the time lapse. I woke up and started making fireworks so I could then travel with my elytra, which I guess I also added mending to it. But after making a couple shulkers and golden apples, I went down to a trial chamber to see if they had reset to much disappointment, but after getting my way back out, I would eventually travel to my base and do some more trades to mend my spear, but after that, I would try going down to the mine in hopes of getting some diamonds, but it honestly, it didn't work out. I'm just wasting time at this point, but after making my way back up, I would eventually upgrade my smithing template, and after making my diamond leggings netherite and my sword netherite, I started gathering all the things I would need to make an enderman farm, starting with the name tag for the endermite. After placing my shulker for where I would put the materials, I tried making an auto smelter that I eventually moved down to the iron farm. And after realizing that I would need leaves as well, I put them in the smelter and went to get leaves. After noticing it was day 99, I went to harvest wood, and I eventually made ladders because that's what I would need to finish off the wood section for my farm. But after getting the lava and more smooth stone, I put all of it inside of the shulker where I noticed I had everything but the stone. And after getting this diamond, I would eventually go back home and farm some creepers. After almost dying to my elytra, I made it out of the cave finally, where it had actually become day 100. but I'm not going to count this because I think it's day 101 where you end. After finding a blacksmith, I got diamonds and obsidian, where I would eventually go back home and make a smithing template, and after that, I actually made my helmet netherite, so I could have, well, almost full netherite, but after doing some trading, I would look at my bed one final time before going to sleep, ending day 100. That is officially the end of the series, guys, and I think if you enjoyed it, you should like and subscribe on this video, and comment what I should do next with this world, because I really enjoyed making it, and I hope you enjoyed going on this journey with me as I eventually made it. But make sure to like and subscribe, and thank you.